Hello, good evening, and welcome to NSG News. This is Pulse of the Week, and this is the midweek edition. My name is Kofi Asante Mensah. A privilege to come your way with a wrap of the week. And I must say, from Sunday today, Wednesday, 20th of August, I'm here to serve you with the best of information, education, and intelligent discussion. Please, tonight we have a lot of breakdown for you and clarity to serve you from the corridors of politics to governance to infrastructure, education, and accountability. We're here to serve you the best. After this breather, I'll share with you the points and the key statements I'll be discussing for you tonight, and also let you in on our special guest we have on Zoom and on phone tonight. Please stay. I'll be right back. Welcome back. As we dig into it and break the issues down for you this evening, we have a discussion lineup of the suspension of the Chief Justice. International attention grows as the UK Bar Council and Commonwealth Lawyers Association demand reinstatement of former or suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono. We ask tonight, what does this mean for Ghana's judiciary? In politics, MPP amnesty. The opposition New Patriotic Party grant amnesty to some suspended members accused of indiscipline. And is this a reconciliation or a compromise? We will be finding out tonight with our political science lecturers and our experts when they join us on the line. On infrastructure and transportation, work resumes on the long-stalled Pokwase in Sawem Road, leading to the GPRTU's suspend its attempted strike to commend government for this very act. And we here on NSG News and Pulse of the Week will be finding out the significance and the relief it brings to commuters and drivers this evening. On education, WASI begins and thousands of students across the country sit for the West African Senior High School Certificate Examination. And we talk more about education and ask what's at stake for Ghana's education sector. And there is also a Tiwaba election coming up on the 2nd of September. The Inspector General of Police meets stakeholders on security as the Electoral Commission prepares to print ballot papers on Wednesday, today, the 20th of August. And I must say, ballot papers have been or have started. They are printing it in earnest, I must say. Something to do in health this midweek edition of Pulse of the Week. An assault on a Rich Hospital nurse sparks outrage, with the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association giving government some 48 hours to ensure justice. They tell us you should arrest Rav, the gentleman who came to assault. He is also claiming he never assaulted anybody. The Minister for Health, Mensah, Kando, has been talking. The president for the Ghana Nurses and Midwives Association has also been talking. We'll move also a little bit into accountability, where we look at the Office of the Special Prosecutor's half-year report, which mentions high-profile figures, including former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena Dapa. We will scrutinize all of this for you in the Office of the Special Prosecutor's half-year report. We'll also have a security expert to dig deeper into prison reforms and amnesty, because we understand some close to 1,000 people from the prisons have been given amnesty by the president. Please stay with me. When I return, I'll go into discussion with Ibad Ibrahim, who happens to be a security expert. Please stay. I'll be right back. Hi, welcome back, and joining me on Zoom is a security expert, Ibad Ibrahim. And Ibad Ibrahim, if you can hear me, it's good to have you tonight. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Kofi. Veteran Kofi, congratulations for almost 2 decades of media practice. I'm happy to be with you tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And next year, I'll do it big time as I celebrate 20 years in the broadcast space here in Ghana. A pleasure once again to have you. Let's talk about it. How did you feel when you heard that the president has granted close to 1,000 prisoners some amnesty? We understand about 784 thereabout are first-time offenders. And let me pick your initial reactions to this.
I'm exhilarated about it, Kofi. It's a welcome piece of news. And the constitutions of many countries around the world shroud the commander-in-chief with certain privileges. And those privileges include granting amnesty, reprieve, and other forms of lightening of the plight of citizens. And Kofi, let's be quite fair. Not everybody who is behind bars is really a bad person. And some people, unfortunately, found themselves at wrong places at the wrong time, and then they ended up getting prosecuted. And some people were rounded up with other suspects, and unfortunately, they've been on remand for a long time. So for the fact that a chunk of those who are benefiting from this amnesty are first-time offenders means that we have a pardoning president, we have a pardoning society that is ready to give people a second chance. So it's a welcome piece of news, and the thousands of people who are behind bars. And the time has come for Ghana to open up a national debate, a national discourse and conversation. How do we rechannel their energies? How do we use them on national funds? How do we come up with non-custodial sentencing so that the issue of congestion in our prisons, we see advocates and media personnel go to various prison centers, and these people are living in squalor. And detaining people has two objectives. It has a punitive objective and it has a reformative objective. But with the squalid conditions in which they are living, they become angry. And instead of our prison centers in Ghana becoming places of reform, they become academies for churning out hardened criminals. Because these people become angry with society and they feel they've not been treated well. So they come out as ex-convicts who perpetrate armed robbery attacks, who perpetrate assassinations. People are hired guns, hire for kill people who are ex-convicts. Some become land guards. Some fuel some of our ethnic conflicts in Boko and other parts of the country. So the time has really come beyond this amnesty that has brought this bubble, this euphoria, for us to have a very candid national discourse as to what we do with our prison inmates so they become assets rather than liabilities on release to the Republic of Ghana.
Thank you very much. And before I come to measures we should take as a people to properly integrate this close to 1,000 people as the president has actually given them amnesty, I would want to have your take on this one. People have been calling about the president releasing the list of the exact persons or who these people are, in effect identifying them. If it is Kofi Asante from Mensah prison, let us know. So from 1 to 1,000 or 998 people you have given amnesty to, we want to know them by name and by classification. Do you think this is a good call?
It's a good call, and transparency is quite helpful because, of course, they are political prisoners. And when you have a politically charged society like ours, when the MPP is in power, the assumption is that it throws a lot of NDC activists into jail. And when the NDC is in power, the assumption is that it throws a lot of MPP activists into jail. And so will this set a precedent for people to know that the punishment we are facing as a form of imprisonment is time-bound and is coterminous. Coterminous has become a popular jargon in Ghana's, politics. It's coterminous with the political party in whose era I have been imprisoned. So that creates a bit of a dilemma But beyond that, I believe, Kofi, there should be transparency. Anybody who is behind bars today must have gone through a court process, and our courts are open courts. They are open to the public. People can walk in and then witness proceedings. So the close to 1,000 people that are being granted amnesty today, there is no need for their identities to be shrouded in secrecy. Because if due process was actually followed, then they were reported to a police station, which was a public or is a public place, and they must have been seen by people. They wrote a statement, and they showed up in court. So the identities cannot be shrouded in ambiguity and obscurity, so to speak. So if that call is being made, unless people who deserve to remain in jail are enjoying political pardon, then I believe that call is a good call, that there should be transparency. You can publish or publicize the names of those who are enjoying, especially the first time offenders and those who are over 70 and they are weak and frail, and those who are sick and need to be, maybe those who have a commuting of their death sentences into life imprisonment. Maybe you would say that in order not to get families of victims of murder and as well as other high forms of felony emotionally broken down, for those few ones, I would say you can keep the identities secret. But the overwhelming number of those who are enjoying this amnesty, I believe their names can go public, because I suppose they went through an open court, they had their day in court, and they were eventually incarcerated. And therefore, I see no reason why there should be no transparency in this regard, Kofi.
Thank you. Critics of government say that we have NDC in opposition, John Dramani Mahama, then flag bearer, saying in opposition to grant amnesty or to free people who pursue environmental criminality. I'm talking about Galamsey against us, and go for the campaign. So it's just right that he makes public so we can observe and see if we have some of these Galamseyers on that very amnesty list.
I agree with you perfectly, Kofi. Where there is impunity, where there is impudence in the commissioning of crime, then you are emboldening people. And so if there are drug cartels that are operating in Ghana, if there are hate squads or assassination rings that are operating in Ghana, if there are people who have engaged in financial losses to the state, especially in the banking sector cleanup and other forms of financial malfeasance, if these people are really those that are in earnest being given a tap on the back, and then it's more of a quid pro quo kind of situation, then that would really defeat the essence of this amnesty. And that is why I believe that to give this a clean bill of health, we can go public and say persons A, B, or C were wrongly incarcerated. These persons were first-time offenders. They have shown remorse, and then when they are thrown back into society, they don't pose any form of a security threat to people. Then there is, openness in the process, so to speak. And Kofi, I'd also add that it is important that families come together around this time for any first offender, especially the minors who are in hostile, detention centers. When they come out, they need, the love they enjoyed before they went behind bars. If they are repudiated by their family members, unfortunately, we would then be pushing them back into the arms of ghettos and criminals and other forms of, areas that will not be too helpful for the very essence of what has taken place. So a mother who welcomes back her son, who is now carrying the tag of an ex-convict, should shower him with love. A father shouldn't segregate and differentiate and say Kweku or Sadiku, because you went to jail, you are the black sheep in the family. We shouldn't do that. If not, they would seek love elsewhere, and they may find themselves in the arms of armed robbers and other miscreants in society. And then job opportunities should be made open to them. You can't say because the person is enjoying an amnesty from the president, is a bad person. You know the tags people, carry in society. The fact that a police officer even came to your home and put you in handcuffs, that is even enough for people to
Yeah.
fire you from a job, for people to look askance at you, look at you with suspicion. Marriages have actually broken as a result of
People won't sit
incarceration.
by you at church.
Yes, people won't sit by your church and at the mosque. If you were a preacher before, nobody will listen to you. So you will be a free person, but in earnest, you are still under the yoke of segregation, under the yoke of isolation, under the yoke of excommunication, under the yoke of societal banishment, so to speak. And so we'll call on people. That is why I wouldn't mind if churches and mosques are involved in this amnesty process, so that people are psyched. That some of these people are first time offenders. God gives people a second chance, and therefore the Ghanaian society should welcome them back.
That's a very great one, and I will dig deeper with you on how we can properly integrate this amnesty prisoners into society, so they won't fall into wrong hands, I must say. But just on the transparency bit of this list of amnesty people or prisoners, who is supposed to lead the way by calling on government? Should we leave it to the opposition New Patriotic Party, or radio and television stations like mine can write to the Office of the President Communication to make it transparent? Or we should apply for the right to information?
If this is politicized, then it will be defeatist. So neutral people, media practitioners, can call for transparency. As soon as political parties jump into the fray, then it becomes the word of the NDC against the word of the MPP. And Ghanaians are getting fatigued by this endless, blame game between these two major political parties. And so private citizens may, through their RTI, seek clarification. NGOs may take this up. The diplomatic community may take this up. International bodies like Amnesty International itself, human rights organizations within the United Nations could also take this up, so that Ghana can present to the world very valid reasons why these people are being given a second chance, and the fact that this is not a backdoor opportunity to free political prisoners, just so because they were financiers of a political party in its days in opposition, or they were people who committed corrupt acts and needed to face the gavel and the full rigors of the actions they took against the state. And so the more neutral and independent the voices that call for this transparency, the better it will be, rather than making this an NDC MPP tug of war as we are used to currently in Ghana.
Right. That's a very good one. So if you're just joining the discussion, I'm here in session with security expert Ibad Ibrahim, and we are looking at the amnesty given to some prisoners by the President of the Republic, and we are looking at how we can reform our prisons, and also the way forward with this amnesty as given by the President. Now, Ibad, let me come to you to take me deeper into ways, or 2 or 3 ways we can properly, and the word is properly, integrate these prisoners into our society.
First of all, as a conservative society, we have certain fundamental pillars that define the Ghanaian society. We have a chieftaincy institution. So of all these almost 1,000 people, they belong to the various ethnic groups we all belong to. If they are Northerners, they would have been Dagombes, Gonjes, Dagatis, and all that. If they are from the Middle Belt, they would have been Bono or Hafu people. If they are from further south, they would have been Ga, Adangbe, Asantes, and all that. So I think the first line of reform and integration should be a traditional authority. So maybe Nananum can be involved in this. If we have any, agency that can spearhead this, the NCCE can be a bulwark in creating that buffer, that liaison between the chieftaincy institutions and these people who are coming out. They are being handed over by the Ministry of Interior. So the Ministry of Interior can liaise with chieftaincy so that this is done properly. So Nana can call a Deba where we have more than 100 people coming from the same ethnic group, and then remind people of what our traditions of forgiveness are, our traditions of repentance, and all that. Then again, if there is, because historically, before even the colonial masters came, one fundamental thing that was done was publicly shaming people. So if you publicly clean them up too, it helps with the integration process, Kofi.
Right.
And secondly, the religious bodies have a role to play, imams, pastors, and other people. If the person was a Methodist, or if the person was a Muslim or a Catholic before he went into jail, the person's first service in church on a Sunday, if he was an Adventist on a Saturday, if he was a Muslim on a Friday, the person can be the subject of discussion, that God gives people a second chance. And then the third leg will be how we bring together youth groups, opinion leaders in various societies to help with the integration process. Because you've been walking free, Kofi, as a beneficiary of this amnesty, but the psychological, the emotional, and then the societal disdain, you will suffer. So there are people who are, that's what we call recidivism. Some people feel so isolated when they come out into open society. They feel so rejected and dejected. They commit petty crimes just so they will go back to prison. That is how bad it is when a nation doesn't prepare to properly reform and reintegrate people who are coming from prison. And so we don't want a situation whereby 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, the rate of recidivism out of these almost 1,000 would be 5%, 10% back to jail because society rejected them. So I believe integration is very important in the whole of this, Kofi.
Just by way of education, does that mean close to the 1,000 amnesty prisoners, as we speak today, Wednesday, 20th of August, have officially been released, or by way of communication, the presidency communicated it to us, and it's probably within next week that they will be released?
Sure, this will follow a certain procedure. Right. This new government has been around for a little shy of 8 months, and therefore this couldn't have happened in a vacuum. I don't think this was done spontaneously. Some years ago, and there were some people who had come from the United States, and they were interested in prison reform, youth advocacy, and all that. And I took them to the Director General of the Ghana Prison Service at that time. So I believe a lot would have gone into this. It wasn't done on the spur of the moment, and I believe it's going to follow a certain pattern that the Ghana Prison Service is used to. I don't believe they have been taken unawares. There are no surprises whatsoever. But these are people who have lived in jail for decades, in some instances, we presuppose. So therefore, the person has to go through a certain process, good clothing, so that the person doesn't stand out in society. Does the state have to provide means of transportation to take people to, or we just throw them out of the jail cell, the gate of the jail, and say that you are a free person? And so I believe these logistical preparations would be in process so that beyond the announcement by the president, maybe in a matter of days, weeks, or months, each of the almost 1,000 will be welcomed into the warm embrace of their families at home.
That will be a very good news, but I wanted to find out if it is not too late to communicate this to the Interior Ministry for this proper integration you suggest to us on the show tonight, because this is very, very important. Very, very important.
I do not know if I always tread on the side of optimism that those who we put in charge really know how to meander the labyrinth of propriety, if there's anything like that, so that people are dignified at this particular moment. They are just not thrown out as if they were horses that have been let loose from their staples, so to speak. It should be a dignified process, so that they are duly welcomed by their families.
Before I let you go, maybe a word for a little bit of political security, because we have a by-election just in some few days to go for on the 2nd of September. The IGP met the stakeholders, MPP, NDC, EC, and a couple of other stakeholders yesterday to have a conversation with them. I wasn't happy with what came up by way of the opposition's communication, led by the organizer Nanabi, saying they would protect themselves. They are quite satisfied with the IGP's meeting, and they suggested to the IGP that Ablekuma North, there hasn't been any arrest. So going into a Tiwa, they would protect themselves. Even they were quite assured with some numbers where the IGP said 5,000.
Well, Kofi, my parting words on this, I believe in the days, weeks, and months ahead, we'll have the opportunity to delve into some of these politically charged security matters. My parting words tonight would be to caution youth political activists, whether going into Ayawa's West Wagon or Ablekuma North, as we have seen in recent times, or where we are going, Tamale Central and Akwetia. There is an anti-vigilantism legislation in Ghana that punishes people through incarceration. So please be careful whatever step you take. And politicians will always be politicians. Don't allow somebody to give you a few hundreds of Ghana cedis or thousands of Ghana cedis so that you lose your freedom. Apart from life and good health, freedom is the sweetest thing on earth. So you don't want to end up in jail. And many of those who are being freed by the president through an amnesty now must have wished for this day for years. You have it. You are a free man, a free young man, walking about and doing your work. Don't allow anybody to entice you with money to stash up weapons or exhibit any form of violence. That will eventually end you up in jail. Freedom is very sweet, and we should all cherish it and not fall into the den of political beguilement. And the politicians will always move on when you have been thrown in jail.
Right, and his name is Ibarat Ibrahim, security expert, talking to us here on NSG News Pulse of the Week, the midweek edition, and the subject is prison reforms and amnesty. Ibarat Ibrahim, thank you very much for joining the discussion today.
You're most welcome, Kofi, and thank you for having me, sir.
Hello, and welcome back from that breather. It's still Pulse of the Week with Kofi Asante Mensah here on NSG News, and this is the midweek edition of Pulse of the Week. And this Wednesday, 20th of August, we have a professor on the line to talk to us relating to some political issues we have for discussion this evening. We are happy to go on the phone lines and talk to Professor Kwesi Amache-Boateng this evening. He is a senior political science lecturer at KNUST, and he has joined us on the line. Prof, it's good to have you. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening and thanks for having me.
I hope
you address me as a senior lecturer. I'm not a professor. I'm a senior lecturer. I'm Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng.
Doc, I'm happy for the correction. So Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng, good to have you once again. Thank you very much. Now let's zoom to the discussion, and the very first one has to do with opposition New Patriotic Party, where they are calling for reconciliation or some amnesty given to people who have been penciled down for indiscipline or in disciplinary actions, and they are giving them amnesty. What is your take on the move the New Patriotic Party has taken in some 8 months after the 2024 elections?
Once again, thanks for this opportunity. Actually, I've not necessarily read the document that the party put out. But that notwithstanding, I've heard the word amnesty feature so much and, simply carried around. And that is what I will really rely on. In the first place, conflicts are normal in human life. Without conflicts, there won't be progress. Actually, conflicts represent different views, different positions, given the fact that we are completely uh, diverse as a human a human people, the human race. We are diverse. We are not necessarily prone to agreeing so easily on issues. And this diversity of ours in most cases manifests in people espousing different positions on matters. And ordinarily, where the group is quite mature, then they will understand that they have several solutions to issues, and not necessarily people coming out to challenge one another. But then when these conflicts are not managed properly, the tendency is that it gets out of hand. And in political parties, you have people coming out to form their own, parties and so on and so forth. And eventually, that weakens the party. In a democracy, parties rely on numbers. So anytime something like that happens and one person leaves, the party obviously wouldn't like that. So it's only proper that the MPP at this material moment in time want to heal all wounds and open their door freely, allow anybody who for one or another reasons decided to stay outside to come back. But then if the word amnesty was used, then it might sound a little bit out of the way. It might sound a little bit out of the way. It will give some impression of wrongdoing and then being simply forgiven completely, and so made to come back and so on and so forth. I don't think what happened should necessarily be interpreted as anyone, I mean, acting in a way that violated the party's principles, because the circumstances that pushed many people out were such that the party itself erred in the way it went about some of the things that it went about, which eventually resulted in others going out. If you take the case of Alaji Martin, you realize that he came out openly to make a case, and the case was that the party's own rules guiding the elections, the presidential primaries, were not observed by the same party. For example, no one was asked to take a picture of how they voted. People violated it, and nothing happened. So from that particular angle, you could see that the party itself, was in error. So if flowing from that, someone expresses misgivings, and then the reactions come outside that, people get hit, blood oozing, and people feel constrained in their own camp, and then they go out. These people should not necessarily be seen as individuals who acted in flagrant violation of any rule there. So such people will have to be encouraged nicely, to come back to the fold. So to me, I want to give the party the benefit of the doubt. They need everybody on board. They need everybody on board to strategize and come back strongly, let's say in 2028.
The likes of Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo and chasing the elephant into the bush, I've forgotten his name, Arthur Kennedy, absolutely. They have all critiqued, and they seem to say and suggest that this reconciliatory process by the New Patriotic Party and amnesty You wouldn't like to call it amnesty, though. So it's not in good faith. Do you share in the opinion?
If you listen to the arguments they put up, it's very difficult to fault those arguments. It is possible. It is possible to make that case that it is not in good faith, and that they simply need, the crowd to make their position strong moving forward. It is possible to make that argument because
Right.
flowing from the terrible loss in the last elections, you could see that a lot of the party's actions and inactions have not really come out properly, and that, if you like, strong position that some people those who are calling the shots in the party now have taken, they're giving themselves away. That if all rallied around one person, it didn't allow a party of the caliber of the NPP to really allow the democratic ethos to run through the party and to guide them in the restructuring efforts, and also to simply create a level playing field for whichever candidate that will emerge. So somehow they've already taken sides, and unfortunately they couldn't do it so well. Like I said, they're giving themselves away. So many people believe that going forward, it's like the minds are made up about who is going to lead the party into the next elections. And the moment some of these things happen, then the issue of, the principle of political neutrality that the leadership are supposed to demonstrate appear to have been compromised. And it should be somebody picking on some of these issues who want to argue that, those, the call is not in good faith. It is possible. But whatever it is, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Any call for unity will have to be embraced. So those who are outside it could go in and try to help them to do the right thing. They need everybody.
What would your analysis be if I was an executive and I've had a brush with the party, and I've been suspended, or I've been asked, I've been moved out of the party, or I've willingly moved out of the party, resigned, etc. They are calling me back, but they tell me I cannot contest any election immediately after 2 years. What do you make of this?
Those are some of the things that many people use to really characterize the call as not fair, not in good faith, and especially because many of the issues that cause the disaffection revolves around the struggle for power and the party not managing the procedures leading to the selection or election of one of them, others becoming peeved, and so literally being forced out. So that if you calling everybody back, the mere fact that they've been out there alone should be seen as a disadvantage for them if indeed they want to come and contest for any position. So why not give everybody the benefit of the doubt? You wipe the slate clean, no conditions. No conditions. People should come in as full-fledged members, participate in all the activities of the party, whichever of them that they want to participate in. So, those are some of the challenges. And it doesn't really give you the impression that they really want to mend the differences, get a strong, united party moving forward. People are simply sort of afraid of being kicked out of the current position that they occupy. And so they are holding on to their positions. They are holding on to those positions and want to do everything possible to simply ensure that popular candidates don't get elected. Seriously, politics generally is driven by interest. There are times when an individual's interest or the interest of a group of people in the party becomes so parochial as to override the party's interest, then things are seen as having gone overboard. Here, you could see that interest playing out, and they are ready to make the party break up. They don't care. As far as what they want to achieve is concerned, they want to achieve it no matter what. And so, fine. I believe in unity and which they will go, they will pursue it sincerely, openly, no constraints attached. But if they are not doing that, then the whole issue is that, I mean, they might not achieve the desired, goals, objective. They might not achieve it given the way they want to go about it.
That's good. Well, you are a political science lecturer, senior one, and you have all the history and teaching our kids about political science. I want you to take me a little briefly into history. The party as left by former President John Ejekun Kufuor, and the party as left by former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The party in opposition. Let's look at the party's well-being in opposition as left by John Kufuor and now Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Which one would you prefer? Which one is more, in other words, there's more cohesion, more unity, more sympathy to each other, and more cohesion to bring the party back to power?
You see, political parties are organizations with members, individuals who have, big, strong ambitions. These are all the interests that they espouse. They all come into the organization with the intention of using the organization to help them achieve, those goals. But then for them to be able to operate as a unit, they should be able to, generate what could become the interest of the party. Something that will incorporate individual interest, or that has room for individuals to pursue their interests. These things are done, by giving themselves a constitution that is flexible and that allows, people to go about the pursuit of their individual goals in the context of a general party goal. For example, if someone becomes the party flag bearer and wins the presidential slot, become the president of Ghana, the person has won it as an individual, but the constitution does not necessarily know any political party. Ghanaians vote for individuals, irrespective of whether they are, operating in the context of a party or standing as, independent candidates. But then at the same time, that person also takes into the political office his party or her party. And there, you see the interests of the two converging. This is exactly what happens, and then you have this principle of unity in diversity operating in political parties, people with ambitions which have the potential to clash, and yet they are all at the same time able to operate, collectively as a party and then move on. You look back and you get a sense of this sort of unity, respect for positions, tradition built on understanding. You compete for a position. If you don't win, you come to support
the winner. Right.
You do that by supporting the party, and then you all move ahead with the hope that you will get a piece of the cake. I mean, so to speak, you get some respectable political office at the end of the day. So this principle operated in the party. Somehow, the late Professor Dubois started it. The decision that I like to believe he imposed on the party, which forced them not to participate in the presidential elections, I think didn't go well with the party's rank and file, because not long afterwards, the party entered into some sort of compromise with President Rawlings, and decided to operate as an opposition, although with no candidates in the parliament of the day. They were forced to sort of, eat a humble pie. So eventually, President Dubois even didn't get the opportunity, of a second term. He was around, and yet he didn't get that opportunity before came on top. I think it was due to that very unpopular decision. He might have been, and so instrumental in getting the party that particular decision to take. So, the rank and file didn't rally behind him. President Kofi came out and realized that it was unanimous, because that element of President Dubois not getting a second listing did not become an issue in the party. It never threatened to break the party apart. It never became an issue. So we had President Kofi, who was able to manage things so well. He competed with Nana Akufo-Addo, and when he won, he embraced everybody. It was not just Nana, but Nana's followers did not feel rejected. That principle, wasn't maintained. It was not sustained when Nana became the flag bearer. The very first time following the elections at the University of Ghana, Legon, in which Alan Chamatin did so well, eventually they decided not to do the second round. Immediately afterwards, Alan came out to complain that his followers were being chased out of the party. They were not being accommodated. They didn't.
I remember. Yeah.
Join the party.
Yeah.
Felt alienated. So that was the beginning of the party's challenges. And this came out of what, as a student of political science, I would call Nanado's politics. Politics that punishes people who take positions against him, even in an election which is lawful for people to freely exercise their own judgment in supporting any individual, any faction, any group. And these are elements of fundamental rights. Nanado doesn't like that. Nanado's politics hates that. He goes in for you. And this thing didn't leave him. To the extent that after getting Alan out, he followed up and then chased individuals who were seen as sympathetic or coming from President Kufuor's camp, Paula Fuku and Kobe Japan. He made sure that they were all taken out of the party. And then here in Asante region, that thing became an issue here. The expression, Nana cannot work with social and so, Nana cannot work with this or that person, came up so strongly in Asante region, and people were literally sidelined. People were literally pushed out of the party. So you see two leaders who comes in on a popular note. They all come in on popular notes at the time that they all came in. But somehow one was able to hold the fort, mend, their differences, and manage to keep the party intact. Throughout the first time, up to the time that he was leaving, Nanado coming over, he was able to hand over to Nanado a united party. But then interestingly, Nanado started to break the party up. And it followed him throughout his term of office, the 8-year term that he served. And at the time that he was leaving, he still led a broken party. So it wasn't surprising that the elections of 2024 came the way it came. He didn't build the party. He didn't build the Ghanaian state. There's something in podcasting we call nation building. Nation building. Working to ensure that, irrespective of our differences in terms of ethnicity and other factors that really constitute our unique identities, that irrespective of that, a leader, a national leader, should be able to get the citizens to have that sense of belonging to the nation, the state, the Ghanaian state, so that our Ghanaianness become an issue that bring us together. And becomes stronger than our ethnic identities. Within the party, one should be able to do that. Party building. We should be able to let people know that the party is everything, because it's the party that is the vehicle which is carrying all of them to, if you like, their, the promised land, so to speak. So everybody, in spite of any personal differences, will want to still, belong to the party and to hold onto the party. Then that enables them to let go of things that divide them between one or another person. This is the task of leaders. Unfortunately, Nalo failed woefully, terribly. If you were to grade him, he will go below 0. He failed terribly. He left a broken party. He left a broken party so bad.
Dr. Maji, below 0 is quite serious. That's into the negatives.
Things came terribly.
That's true.
We are looking at a very serious breaking up of a party, dismantling the party structures, so much so that even as we speak, the party is struggling, to come over that. It is that same spirit that the people who were so close to Nanado, who are still managing the party, is the same spirit that they are working with, although Nanado is not there. They are afraid, because if they don't get Dr. Baumia to lead the party and any other person comes, their fear is that the way they treated other people,
They will be treated same.
yes, that they will be treated same. They are terribly afraid of any serious, significant positions in the party they will hold if they are darling Dr. Baumia doesn't continue. So they will go all out to impose Dr. Baumia on the party. The first strategy failed woefully. The thank you tour was no thank you tour. It was a strategy to simply market Dr. Baumia, such that later, when they said that it was time for the party to go into the election of a flag bearer, Dr. Baumia would have become a household.
And you say the thank you tour is a failed one?
It didn't start. It died at birth. It was a facade. The very first speech Dr. Baumia gave here in Accra before they embarked on the thank you tour simply left everybody wondering whether it was a thank you tour or whether it was a strategy to sell Dr. Baumia. He prepared him, and he beat the bait and overexposed himself. If you pick his speech that day, there's nothing in it that indicates that they were grateful to the people who stood by them, in a very difficult time. No, Dr. Baumia went out there to demonstrate that he was not the one responsible for the party's terrible loss, and that he was still a worthy candidate who should be considered.
Isn't that true? Because his boss, we have an executive presidency where the president takes account of everything. You are the vice. You don't hold any power.
That might be true, but that should not be the message for a thank you tour. Party that lost terribly, and then you want to go around and simply sort of energize your people who might have been so demoralized. You want to go around, say thank you, don't feel demoralized, don't be discouraged. We are still standing as a party. We are rebuilding. We're going out there into elections 2028 with the hope of doing very well. There should be no focus on any one person as to what he or she will do. No, it is a party thing. So what Dr. Baumia said might be true. I don't think it is true. Personally, I don't believe in that particular argument by anybody. I don't believe in that. Let's give whoever made that argument the benefit of the doubt and argue that yes, it might be true. Fair enough. But that wasn't the message for that occasion. That wasn't the message for that occasion. So Obabamia, who is very learned, also knew better, and yet he couldn't help it. He went out to say those things. And I'm saying that he gave himself away so terribly. He gave himself away. And to me, it is a mark of someone who is not sincere, who is not really someone ready to be forthright with people. It's not. That is what I see. That is what I see.
And you think they are still holding on to power to make sure that Dr. Baumia takes up the flag bearership race?
Everything they do points to that. Everything they do points.
Would you be surprised if Kennedy Agyapong comes up victorious in the race, the competition?
Well, I expect him to win. I won't be surprised.
You expect Kennedy Agyapong to win?
Yeah.
Wow.
He is a fine matter of fact person, given the way the party, has been turned to now. People have been lied to. People have been taken for a run, for granted. They need somebody who will be forthright with them. Someone whose yes they can count on as yes. Someone whose no they can count on as no. So when such a person comes before them and lays his cards on the table, they'll be ready, to work with him, because they can trust that this person means what he's saying. This person means what he's saying. They lied to Ghanaians. The economic wizardry in Dr. Baumia failed to come up. He had no response at the time that the party was in distress, when they were in office, political office. He had no antidote to the challenges of the day. And if anybody tells me that Nanado wouldn't have liked to leave a legacy, something that is positive, an economy that is doing well, that he wouldn't have liked some such legacy, I'll have difficulty buying it.
He has a legacy already. He brought free senior high education.
It's consumption, free senior high education, good policy. It is consumption. The economy is in tatters. That policy presupposes that there's money to spend. There's no money to spend. Those policies are not to be hailed because they are consumption oriented. We are looking forward to someone who can rebuild the economy, who can affect the standards of living of that Ghanaians can also decide to stay here. Address the three challenges of a development, issues of unemployment, inequality, and poverty. We want to see someone whose policies will effectively address these challenges. Then we will clap for that person and say that person, would have written his or her name in gold in this country. If you look around, the Southeast Asian tigers are called tigers because of these things. They affected their economy significantly, changed them, affected standards of living significantly in their countries. And then the world called them Asian tigers. The world called them tigers. I mean, free SHS, when you don't have money to fund it. This thing.
The feeding?
No, President Kufuor's own.
Okay, the free NHIS health insurance. Yeah.
We can't be praising people for this. They are all consumption. They are all consumption.
And let me it's in tatters, right? And you
should fight poverty. We should reduce unemployment.
Right.
We should reduce inequality. We should reduce levels of poverty in the country. Then yes, we'll clap for whoever will be able to achieve, these challenges of development.
Dr. Mache, and you think Brian Acheampong, Educhum, and Kwabena Agyapong can't do this? Only Kennedy Agyapong can do this?
I think he's in a poor position, to come out victoriously. I'm not saying that the others, cannot offer something. I don't have confidence at all in Bernard Champo.
Really?
Yeah, he was interested to buy state property when they were offered to him. At the time, he was a cabinet member of parliament. That alone disqualifies him. He is interested in public money. That is it. He's gone. When the time comes, we'll come out and do this analysis and inform Ghanaians about these people who are coming out. I mean, Ghana has a challenge with political corruption. And somebody who's ready to purchase state hotels.
To make it better for the country to benefit, to create jobs.
He was in government. He couldn't share his thoughts with the state to manage these properties better. He was in government. He could not come out with those brilliant ideas in him to support the state. He was in government. He was being financed by government. His vehicle fueled by government. And then the government was struggling to make the hotels work. What he could do was to come out to say, I want to buy them.
Doctor, let's finally talk about the Etiwaba election, the upcoming Etiwaba election. But before we do, the IGP met the stakeholders, including the New Patriotic Party, the opposition party. They came up that as they go forward for the Etiwaba election, they would protect themselves because issues that happened, including Hawa Kumsin's issue that happened last by-election at Ablekumanov, has not been resolved. People have not been arrested. People are walking free. And please do add reasons they gave to the reason why they are not contesting Tamale Central. Please add a little bit of that to me. They say out of respect for Mutala, one of the casualties we had last 2 weeks in the helicopter crash. They said they are not contesting Tamale Central. They are ready to contest Etiwa, but they will protect themselves. And until Ablekumanov perpetrators are brought to book, they will protect themselves, in exception of the assurance that about 5,000 police officials or security officials will be sent on the grounds that day. They are saying they will protect themselves.
I teach political science. I teach politics in Ghana. Any political science lecturer who handles politics in Ghana obviously will be interested in Ghana's public the processes of democratization unfolding. One key issue in democracies is this issue of security. Security at the national level, in the way people go about their businesses. And Ghana has done quite well. That notwithstanding, there are challenges. And one area that you always have difficulties understanding why things should be so has to do with by-elections. And quickly, let me say that IGP Dampare, left a name. He's the only IGP whose tenure did not witness violence in by-elections.
Right.
And whether the current IGP likes it or not, he started on a terrible footing. At Ablekuma North.
Yeah.
He failed woefully. He did not build on the solid performance of IGP Dampare. And you could see that the policemen there were confused that day. Although Hawa Kumsin didn't help with the spraying of the pepper that he did, he also in a way destabilized the police somehow.
Right.
But then the main fact that some people were emboldened to come out there and cause the mayhem that they did, and they were able to do that, is an indication that the police failed woefully. The police should be working with intelligence.
Right.
And what happened? I say they went to sleep. If they ever come out to say that they never anticipated anything, people would, deal with them. They should have anticipated that, because that is their work. So I don't know. I don't know whether it was an issue of IGP not being sure of how he should play his role during by-elections, whether he should act to indicate support for President Mahama and the NDC at a party, or whether he should act professionally. I tell myself he was confused between these two issues. So he couldn't act decisively in the first place by gathering information and then ensuring that no matter what, nobody was going to be able to, mess anything up. Why? Because the police is strong and powerful enough than any other groupings that will come up in the Kenyan society.
Doctor, now he has a second chance at Etiwa. What do you expect from him?
I don't expect anybody's hair, a strand of hair, to be torn.
You think this is going to be peaceful as you expect?
It should be peaceful. Why do we have problems with somebody saying he will protect himself? Why? Why do we have problems hearing someone, indicate that he will protect himself? Generally speaking, can we trust the Ghanaian state to provide that sort of security that is needed? Objectively, can we say that we trust the Ghanaian state?
When they are in opposition, they don't trust the Ghana police, but when they are in
Just
power,
know what they do in government. And those of us who teach political science will not encourage anyone to leave his or her fate completely in the hands of some such security people. No. You can also put together something in case, things didn't happen the way you expect to happen. Then you not be caught, unguarded.
Right.
I don't think people should put all their eggs in that
One basket.
security basket provided by the state. No, I don't have difficulty at all with that expression. We protect ourselves. They are not indicating that they are going to arm themselves and no. They will stay alert and make sure that they are not taking unawares. I think it is their duty, it is their responsibility.
we would have more time to talk. I appreciate your analysis and your insights, so deep, and I love it so much. Thank you so much for spending this quality time with us this evening. We are grateful.
Thank you too.
Absolutely. So people, that was Dr. Amache Boateng, who happens to be senior political science lecturer at KNUST, having an interaction with him on political discussion this evening. Still, this is Pulse of the Week, and it's yours truly, Kofi, Asante, Mensah, and this is how we draw the curtains down for today's edition, the middle of the week or midweek edition of Pulse of the Week. Thank you so much for being there for us. We love you so much. We'll meet again on Friday, God willing. It's a bye for now.